Hello friends, and welcome back to a brand new landscape photography vlog and part 2 of photographing fall colors in the Utah mountains. In this video, we witnessed the most vibrant rainbow autumn colors that I've ever seen in my entire life, and I talk about some of the biggest challenges when it comes to this style of photography. I really hope you enjoy watching. All right, so it's another beautiful day here in the Utah mountains. I'm exploring a different canyon section. There's a huge variety of maples and things like that, and it's producing one of the most incredible sights I've ever seen. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm not joking when I say I think this is the most colorful array of trees I've ever seen in my entire life. I've like the amount of colors I'm witnessing right now, it's like a rainbow spectrum. And I think I said that earlier on about yesterday's shoot, but this is just on another level. So let me zoom on in here to really show you. I mean, it's to the point where it's almost a bit psychedelic, just the way the colors are all blending in together. We've been having some, dappled light come out. You can see there's some blue sky in there, so the sun will peek out, illuminate the entire hillside. That sunlight hasn't been very appealing to the shots. It's spot-lit a couple of areas, but when that sun pierces through, it just ends up being too harsh and ruins the softness that we're getting here. So sure enough, the cloud came in, and now it's the perfect moment to try and photograph some of this. I may opt to crop this 8x10 or maybe a 1:1, like a square crop. And that's the thing I'm thinking about when I'm composing these shots, is I'll get the shot that I really like and kind of pull back the composition to give myself the breathing room for a crop. My settings here, I'm keeping it super simple. There's barely any wind, so I can just do a nice low ISO, slight long exposure, and I think I'm going to do f8 for this. That's just insane right now. Just a rainbow of colors. Really never seen anything like it. Here's one of my personal favorite compositions with these beautiful yellow aspen trees highlighted by the darker maroon colors in the background. And I think what really made this image work is the fact that the trees were bare enough to see that background, allowing these little sprinkles of yellow to be contrasted by the other colors. As photographers, sometimes we're drawn to the most punchy, dramatic fall colors we can find and the fullest array of them, but that isn't always what makes the best photograph. It's all about finding colors and textures that work together. This is kind of cool. I found a composition where you're seeing some of the purple. It's just purple and green, so I'm kind of losing some of the other colors. I'm just trying two colors right now. So you've got the purple and green, and there's all these kind of gnarled bare branches that are sort of intersecting through the composition. We'll see how it turns out. That's all you can do, right? You just shoot it, hope that it's going to turn out nice. For these images, it was a lot of fun to focus on something a bit different from your classic, typical yellow aspen shot. I loved working with the mixes of pinks, purples, and also the green foliage in here to create this really cool textural scene. Here's another photograph focused on balancing the different colors, and this time I'm isolating a singular green tree amongst all of the beautiful warmer tones. Okay, so I moved over a little bit, just up the hill, and it is amazing right now. There's so much to shoot. And you know what's kind of fun? Here, let me show you another composition that I was thinking about trying. Okay, so you have these trees right here, which are really nice to kind of break up the more subtle trees. And you got the kind of rolling hills in the background. And I could maybe position those trees maybe on the lower right side. We could also zoom out and see more of the rolling hills out in the background. And I think I'm going to go for maybe something like this that's a little bit more minimal. Some trees and some color. I mean, even that isn't bad. wander to a different spot to see what else we could capture here. After this, I explored another area and got lucky seeing a deer hanging out in a field, and so then I shot these. Now, I'm certainly no wildlife photographer, but these were a lot of fun to shoot. I pretty much used the same principles that I did for the rest of my images, trying to position the deer in front of the fall colors, and overall I thought they were a nice addition to this series. Everything you've seen so far has been shot with either reflected light or open shade, but what about direct light? Well, that's something I worked on the next day. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another beautiful morning here in Utah, and this is my last photo outing, and as you can see, the weather has changed quite a bit. It's completely clear out. Now the sun is rising to our right, and I think it'll be interesting to try and incorporate some direct light into these compositions, which is trickier to do because things get chaotic really fast. But let me show you what we're looking at here. The lighting is starting to rake across the trees here. So I might take a couple of compositions as the light gets just a little lower. Right now it's hitting too much of the tops of the trees, so the lighting isn't really highlighting the right spot that I'm going for. But as it starts to dip in more, I think it could be interesting. And I think the sun is going to rise, you know, right as it crests over this hill. We should be able to get some nice backlighting, maybe even a sun star in the tree line. And to capture that, I'm going to need to move a bit further that direction. So what I'm going to do here, shoot a few images of the tree line getting hit with spotlighting, and then move my position and shoot the sun star in that direction. And we'll see how it all turns out. I like, there's one lone tree getting hit, but I need to be further back for that. So we're gonna step back there, see if we can shoot this. You know what? I'm not really seeing a composition here. I think it was wishful thinking to try and get the spotlighting. So what I'm gonna do instead, I'm gonna move my position there and I think we'll find some interesting stuff. Unfortunately, I really struggled with this spotlighting, so I decided to try something completely different that I haven't shown you yet, which is using a wide-angle lens and then trying to get a sun star in frame with the fall color. And here's how that turned out. So for these images, I'm using a very different technique than what I've done previously, this time using my 12-24 wide-angle lens and getting right into the forest. For these shots, I'm using f/16, which not only gives me that nice sun star effect, but also allows all of the trees around me to stay pretty well in focus. To get the nice clean sun star here, I'm making sure to position the sun right against a tree so it doesn't become too bright or blown out in the shot. Dynamic range-wise, it can be really challenging when facing into the sun, so I always make sure to do a bracket. For this, I'm just adjusting my shutter speed about 1 stop each exposure. And how many brackets you need is really dependent on the scene that you're shooting, but for these ones, it took about 3 images. Now, of course, this isn't the only way to use direct light, and I'll show you another technique very shortly. So we just shot sunrise, and I was in the trees with the wide-angle lens trying to get a sun star. It was super fleeting, happened super fast, so I didn't get a chance to video it. As you can see, the sun is just beaming down on me right now. You know, when working with direct lighting, you can shoot fall color with direct lighting, of course, like getting a sun star or something like that. So if I kind of zoom on in here, this is what backlighting looks like. This is pretty well backlit. Looks really nice to the naked eye because you have this just glowing foliage. But when you look in camera, it tends to look a little bit chaotic. And you can create, you know, beautiful backlighting and side lighting in the trees, but you really have to find the spots where the sun is spotlighting certain elements. So in this composition, even though to my eye it almost looks like the tree is spotlit, there's too many trees right behind it getting lit up. If I kind of aim the camera this way, you can see there's a little bit more separation between these trees. There was a couple of compositions that I shot with both direct light and with diffuse light to really see what the differences were. And here's what those look like. I think what's interesting about these photos is they kind of work both ways. That direct light coming from the back and the right side rakes through the trees and still works with the overall flow of the composition rather than going against it. But now I would love to hear from you. Which lighting do you prefer? Do you like the direct lighting for this composition, or do you like the soft diffuse light? Please let me know in the comments. But the tricky part about it, the thing you have to remember if you're photographing autumn and you get these blue sky days, is your margin, your window of photography goes down so much. And depending on where you are, if you're in a pretty flat area, that sun is going to stay harsh in the sky for a lot longer, and your window becomes even smaller. Now, you can kind of cheat it if you're in a mountain area where you've got lots of cliffs and valleys, because as that sun starts to dip, you could lose the sun maybe 2 hours before sunset. And sure enough, that's a technique I used to capture some of my favorite images of the trip of this incredible hillside. And here's what I shot. I love how zooming all the way to 400 millimeters really helped to compress the scene and almost give the fall foliage this very painterly, surreal look. Okay, and this is one of my favorite compositions of the trip because I just love the way the colors flowed in this image. You have the oranges down at the bottom with a little bit of yellow mixed in, then up to light green, dark green pines, and then up to this beautiful array of purple with little splashes of yellow in there. And even though this wasn't the most impressive array of trees or fall color, I just thought the balance of hues here made for a really nice photo. And I always say it's a good idea to scout, so, be familiar with your environment, with your landscape. But just know when you go out to scout places like this, the harsh light makes the trees look so different than when it's diffused. I mean, it's just a completely different thing. So it can be easy to walk through a field like this with direct light and be like, oh, I don't think there's anything for me to photograph here when the lighting gets better, because I just don't, I don't see it. But if you did come back when it's diffused, suddenly all of these areas that might not have a composition at all are going to suddenly get revealed out of nowhere. And I've seen it happen in a split second. The good part is, photographing in a place like this, there's so many opportunities, and you just have to be prepared for it. So make sure to work with the lighting, work with your compositions, play around, and have fun. There's no such thing as bad light when it comes to landscape photography. It really comes down to understanding how to utilize each lighting situation to your benefit to still create compelling images. In this case, playing around with open shade and reflected light for that soft fall color look, backlighting to get a nice glow with the sun star, and even utilizing spotlighting and raking light. The opportunities here are endless. You just have to be willing to see them. With that, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more. And if you want to learn more from me, you can check out my workshop page where I have various adventures to some really cool places. As always, I really appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.